Over the past 2 decades, space tourism has gone from a distant dream to an emerging reality, with private companies paving the way for commercialised spaceflight. Among them is one of the pioneers, Virgin Galactic, who've promised suborbital trips for civilian adventurers. The idea of ordinary people able to experience space has become more tangible than ever, but with great innovation comes great risk. The 31st of October 2014, the Mojave Desert, California, USA. Virgin Galactic have been conducting multiple test missions to further refine their spacecraft and propulsion system. VSS Enterprise is the craft about to perform the latest test flight from Mojave Air and Spaceport, the first powered flight in 9 months, and will consist of flight testing a new, more powerful and stable rocket engine, whose fuel grain is composed of nylon instead of rubber. The flight will be crewed by pilot Peter Seibold and co-pilot Michael Alsbury. They conduct their pre-flight checks, reviewing their flight procedures and safety protocols. VSS Enterprise is a scaled composite Spaceship 2, a manned spaceplane, the first built of its kind. Designed for suborbital space tourism, it is a reusable vehicle meant to carry passengers to the edge of space and back to Earth. The craft comprises of a cockpit for a 2-pilot configuration, a passenger cabin which can seat up to 6, a single hybrid rocket motor and a twin tail boom, integrated into a feathered re-entry system. To ensure a controlled, stable descent from the edge of space, it works by changing the shape of the spacecraft mid-flight. After reaching peak altitude, the pilots activate the feathering system, which pivots the tail section upwards to a 60-degree angle. This reconfiguration increases drag, slowing the spacecraft down in the upper atmosphere, and orientates the vehicle for a stable descent. Once the vehicle reaches the denser air as it loses altitude, the tail returns to its normal position, allowing the spacecraft to glide back to Earth, where it lands like a traditional aircraft. During its flight, it aims to provide several minutes of weightlessness for the passengers before its return. To increase efficiency and provide a safer ascent, rather than a vertical liftoff like a conventional rocket, the craft is instead carried to an altitude of 50,000 feet by a mothership, a scaled composites White Knight II, a twin fuselage 4-engined aircraft designed to carry Spaceship 2, where it is released and will continue under its own power. The 2-stage launch system allows Spaceship 2 to conserve fuel and avoid the stresses of a ground-based rocket launch, making for a smoother ascent before ignition. The ship's operator is Virgin Galactic, a British-American company specialising in developing commercial spacecraft and providing suborbital flights to space tourists. It was founded in 2004, making it an early player in private spaceflight alongside others such as SpaceX and Blue Origin. As planned, VSS Enterprise is carried by the White Knight II mothership to release altitude. After final checks, the spacecraft is released, entering free flight. Moments later, the rocket engine is ignited, propelling the craft forward and into a climb at breathtaking speeds. 11 seconds into the flight, the tail boom, the aerodynamic system meant to stabilise the craft during descent, prematurely unlocks. Extreme aerodynamic forces are applied onto Enterprise, tearing it apart. As the twisted wreckage falls to Earth, a single parachute is seen drifting down and settles among the debris strewn across the Mojave Desert. It is pilot Peter Seibold who has been violently ejected from the disintegrating spacecraft. Though seriously injured, he was able to deploy his parachute and survived the fall. Emergency responders reach the crash site, rescuing Seibold, who is hospitalised. Unfortunately, co-pilot Michael Alsbury does not survive. A National Transportation Safety Board GO team is dispatched to the Mojave Air and Spaceport, arriving the next day on the 1st of November. They begin their investigation immediately. Unlike a traditional commercial aircraft, Spaceship 2 is fitted with a cockpit video recorder, allowing NTSB investigators to see control inputs made by the pilots without having to analyse a flight data recording. During the footage leading up to the moment of the in-flight breakup, the co-pilot is seen to unlock the tail feathering system too early. With the feathering system in the unlocked setting at this stage in the flight, the aerodynamic forces on the tail are too strong for it to stay in the flush position, and it is forced upward, tearing VSS Enterprise apart. But why would such an experienced test pilot make such a seemingly obvious mistake? When they dig into his background, the co-pilot is discovered to have failed a simulator flight by activating the feather too late. It is possible he may have been influenced by this previous failing and overcorrected. It is also possible that he wasn't even aware of the risk of unlocking too early, as it is found that the dangers were not well known within the company, with only a single email and one presentation slide even mentioning the risks of unlocking before completing the transonic stage. Although there were many time pressures put on the pilots, and without him surviving the accident, the real reason for the misjudgment will probably never truly be known. While the findings point to human error, the tail boom system being unlocked too early, investigators also note that the design of the feathering system was lacking safeguards to prevent such a mistake from happening. The accident exposed a flaw not only in the design, but in the logic of the designers. Overconfidence was placed in the ability of the test pilots to avoid making mistakes. But as long as they are still human, they can still make mistakes. A solemn reminder a lack of safeguarding poses to anybody, even the best of pilots. In the wake of the disaster, Virgin Galactic vows to improve safety measures and redesign some of the spacecraft systems. Virgin founder Richard Branson reaffirms the company's commitment to space tourism, saying space is hard but worth it. Though many critics questioned whether the dream of commercial space travel was indeed worth the risk. In July 2021, the company would successfully send a crew, including Branson himself, into suborbital space. The dream of space tourism lives on, but the lessons from the 2014 disaster remain a stark reminder of the dangers of pushing beyond the boundaries of known human flight. If you don't want to miss future episodes, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like rating for the time and effort it took me to make. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.